Ladies and gentlemen, the NFL could be about to give the Dallas Cowboys exactly what they need in the way that they need it in. Let's get right into it as y'all, this offseason may be shaping up to be something quite interesting, as even if the Cowboys chose to do business as per usual, they could still come away out of this offseason with everything they need to make a serious run at this thing. Let's get into it as I show you how some of these NFL teams could be about to set the Dallas Cowboys up for an alley-oop. Be sure to subscribe for more Dallas Cowboys content on the regular. Don't worry, boys. Y'all about to get some help, even though some of y'all on this picture may not be in these same colors next season. But y'all about to get some help, though. The NFL has something called post-June 1st cuts. And I know a lot of y'all know about these, and it's nothing new. I'm not breaking any news here. But what I am about to make you very, very privy to is the fact that although the Cowboys may not be active in the first wave of free agency, as we know that they're terrified of being overly active in free agency as soon as it starts because they feel like you're going to overpay for players. And in most cases, that actually holds true if you were going to look at some of these guys' production based on what they got paid in free agency compared to some of their constituents. It doesn't really add up. But the Cowboys could be huge benefactors of some teams needing to make some salary cap cuts. And not only just salary cap cuts of guys that can actually be very, very useful for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, who am I talking about? I'm talking about guys that have names. I'm talking about guys that have games and guys that still have some tread left on the tire. I'm talking about guys that would fit into every category that Stephen Jones would like, and that's a cheap, affordable player that's either going to be coming here on a prove-it deal or coming here in a position of not really a lot of negotiating power because they may have had a slight injury bug at one point right before they hit free agency, right? One of the first names that everyone wants to talk about, I'm surprised, I put a poll out yesterday on the channel, and most people actually would want Deebo Samuel. I asked everyone if you could make one move, if you could bring one receiver to this team in free agency. I asked everyone between Cooper Kupp, Deebo Samuel, and Stephon Diggs, who would it be? And surprisingly, Deebo Samuel, with Cooper Kupp right behind him, won that poll result. And it was a few thousand votes on that poll, so it's actually quite surprising. But the San Francisco 49ers are in fact in a position where they are more than likely going to end up cutting Deebo Samuel in a post-June 1st cut, because that is going to be the most effective way to alleviate some of the pressure on their salary cap. Now, obviously, they gave him permission to seek a trade, but with San Francisco being put in a position where they may end up having to cut him post-June 1st, then most teams probably won't even be trying to trade for him, because why give up draft capital? We could just give him a few dollars in the offseason and get Deebo probably on a prove-it deal or something like that to just show if he still has it or not, because I doubt any team is going to give Deebo Samuel this super gaudy contract, and I don't think he's going to demand a lot of money on the open market, if I'm being completely honest. He's a little bit overweight, and he had a down season last year, so again, any situation he walks into, he's going to have to prove it. Now, Deebo isn't necessarily at the top of my list of guys that I think the Cowboys will be looking at to bring onto this roster, but there are quite a few guys who are going to be designated as post-June 1st cuts, or could be designated as post-June 1st cuts, thanks to the salary cap savings that will allow for their respective franchises, and those guys could actually make a massive impact on the Dallas Cowboys. The first of which I want to discuss is Jaire Alexander. Jaire Alexander is someone that could possibly fit exactly into that mold that Stephen Jones likes to pick at. He's going to be a guy that's going to be a little bit cheaper. He's going to have a little bit better value because he's coming off of an injury-riddled 2024 and honestly 2023 season. Now, he did play towards the end of the season. He did play towards the beginning of the season. He missed just a huge chunk of the middle of the season, but when he's playing, he's still a very, very good player. By the statistics, Jaire Alexander is still one of the most effective corners in the league when he is able to stay on the field. In his limited time this season, in which he only played 7 out of the 17 games, he was actually third highest ball hawk rate among all cornerbacks with at least 20 targets on their head. So even in that limited time, Jaire Alexander still shows that he can go after that ball when necessary. On top of that, the Packers have allowed 9.7% lower completion percentage with Jaire Alexander on the field compared to when he's not on the field, meaning the quarterback's only throwing and completing passes at about 61% of the time when Alexander's on the field, compared to about 70.7%. And again, if you actually look at his statistics and what he was able to do just this past season, quarterbacks, when targeting him, only have a 77.6 rating on the season. And again, this is a guy that only played 347 snaps this season because he was battling some injury issues, which is going to actually work in the favor of Cowboys fans in this situation, because again, the last 2 seasons he's only played 14 games combined. He's more than likely going to be a budget option, and if he is able to stay healthy at all, if he's able to stay healthy, or at least if he's just able to hang in there until whoever else we bring in as a young guy, or a Kalen Carson, or whoever gets a little bit better, if he's able to stay healthy, having Deron Bland and Jaire Alexander on the other side is going to be epic. And I can only imagine the training camp battles there, because Jaire Alexander is the very same guy that punked CeeDee Lamb in that playoff game. So I want Jaire. I think he has the right type of mentality. He plays with the right type of disposition. He's a guy that's going to give you some press man coverage. And I know all of us are tired of seeing corners play 10 yards off. Jaire, no, he's trying to stick guys and put hands in their chest as they're coming off the line of scrimmage. And he is still a pretty sticky defender. So I really like Jaire Alexander as a player. And hopefully this is one of those guys that we can get on the team. He's only 28 years of age. So again, if he can get healthy, this could be a absolute steal for the Cowboys once the Packers decide to part ways with him, because again, the Packers can save a metric ton of money if they were to release Jaire Alexander. They can actually save over $17 million if they cut him post June 1st, and both the general manager of the Packers and Jaire Alexander have said that they're disappointed in how things have gone as it pertains to him re-signing there and being a fixture on that team. So it's likely he's going to be done with the Packers. I would love this move for the Dallas Cowboys. And I did watch a little bit of his film, and he still looks really good to me as it pertains to the times that he was on the field. He still looks like a guy that can play to me. So again, it's all about staying healthy. Now, someone else that's going to be super interesting for the Dallas Cowboys in particular this upcoming offseason is going to be one of the defensive tackles for the Atlanta Falcons. Now, they're projected to release one of these guys, with Grady Jarrett probably being the most likely candidate to be released, because if they released Grady Jarrett, they would get more than $16 million in salary cap. And this is a team that's sitting $11 million in the red. So it's very likely that Grady Jarrett could end up being a post-June 1st cut. Now, David Onyemata's in kind of the same situation, and both of these guys are starting quality defensive tackles, with Grady Jarrett being the slightly more impressive defensive tackle this last season. He's a 31-year-old guy, so he's looking at a veteran here, someone that will be able to come in, a veteran, but he's not super old like a Linval Joseph or anything. You're looking at a guy to be able to come in. He actually is capable of playing 3-tech and 1-tech, because he played a little bit of both of those positions for the Atlanta Falcons, depending on what defensive sets they were in. And honestly, he looks like a guy that can actually do both of them on the film pretty effectively. 3-tech, penetrating, gets up the field. He has some good play recognition. There was a play in particular I watched on film where he was getting up the field towards the quarterback, and then he realized that the running back was swinging out the backfield for a quick pass, and he immediately stopped where he was and was able to get to the running back, and he would have been there to make that stop if the DB that was coming downhill wasn't there already. So really good play recognition right there, but there are some warts that pop up on the film, a little bit effort issues here and there. He is a guy that's kind of testy, will kind of hand fight with guys after the play a little bit. But I like Grady Jarrett. Plays with great balance. I didn't see him on his back or on his side many times at all while I was watching the film. Even in situations where he was getting doubled and sometimes triple teamed, I didn't see Grady Jarrett, getting thrown around like a damn hand doll like we saw Mozzie Smith doing last season. So Grady Jarrett would be a name that I'm really looking at for the Cowboys as a post-June 1st type of acquisition. So again, we know the Cowboys, they like to poach off the UFL players and post-June 1st cuts and stuff like that. They really feel like free agency is in June, and that's when we saw them get active this last past season as well. And I suspect we could see the same thing this year. And if we do, they honestly could still come away with some really good players that aren't old and just used up or anything like that, right? So a Grady Jarrett, really like Grady Jarrett, and I think that he would be a great get for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, someone else that I think will be really good for the Cowboys to get is going to be one of the linebackers for the Chicago Bears, which, surprise, that would work perfectly for Matt Eberflus, because these are the same linebackers he had while he was with the Chicago Bears. Now, very interesting here. It could either be Tremaine Edmonds or a TJ Edwards. Me personally, I'm hoping that it's a TJ Edwards because to me, Edwards was the better guy last season, and he's easier to move on with as a potential release, resulting in $5.5 million in savings. And Edwards was second in tackles on the Chicago Bears and on the whole team, right? So he had a very productive season. And again, this is a guy that's a candidate to get cut post June 1st. So I think that the Cowboys, honestly, even if they were to opt to do things the way that they normally do it, I need people to really remember this particular show. Even if the Cowboys opt to do things the way that they would normally do it, these are guys that could come in and make an immediate impact for your team and not only be a good role player, but they can actually be very good starters for your team. I found you some guys that would be really good starters for your team, and I think that they would be guys that would be affordable for what you're trying to do, right? This TJ Edwards guy, he was a 2019 undrafted free agent, has had a couple of good seasons now with the Chicago Bears, played with the Philadelphia Eagles beforehand, but the last couple seasons with the Bears, 2023, he had 153 tackles, 2024, 129 tackles, racked up 4 sacks this past season as well, so he can rush the passer. While I was watching his film, him and Tremaine Edmonds, I feel like TJ Edwards was the more active guy. To me, he was just around the ball more. Now, whether that was by design of the offense or whatever it was, he was around the ball more. He was really good with his run fit. There was only a couple of times where I saw him kind of get pushed out of his lane. But besides that, I really like him as a linebacker, inside linebacker, and I think that he could come in and he could help kind of fill that hole until DeMarvion Overshown gets back. And then even then, having a TJ Edwards and Maris Leofau, DeMarvion Overshown on the field, you have a damn good linebacking core right there without adding anybody else yet. So TJ Edwards, another guy I would look out for, or Tremaine Edmonds. I would honestly probably bet we see one of these guys on our team, whether it's TJ Edwards or Tremaine Edmonds. I would bet that we see at least one of these guys on the team because, again, they already played for Matt Eberflus. There's a little bit of familiarity there, and they fit what obviously he's going to want to do with this defense. So TJ Edwards, Grady Jarrett, Jaire Alexander, I think if you make those 3 moves, if those are the only 3 moves that you made in free agency and then you just added guys via the draft and the skill positions and whatnot, I think those 3 moves in free agency, plus obviously bringing back guys that you want to bring back, Osa Diggies or whatever it may be, I think right there you upgraded your team based off of what you had last season. I think you've actually upgraded your team adding a Jaire, a TJ Edwards, a Grady Jarrett, and those being 3 of those value type of moves that the Cowboys can make. Because obviously, I think a Grady Jarrett is going to upgrade your defensive line over Amazi Smith. I think a TJ Edwards is going to be an upgrade over an Eric Kendricks even, right? I think a Jaire Alexander is going to be an upgrade over whoever the hell we've had playing opposite of Diggs and Bland last season, right? So I think you're upgrading your team with this, and it's moves that would be feasible for the Jones family to actually make. All right, let me know what you think about this down in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe for more Dallas Cowboys content and help them Cowboys.
Calling me, texting me, paging me, asking me, am I still the ball? Y'all usually check on me. Listen. I'm still them boys. Hey! Woo! Hey! I'm still them boys.